training video, we're going to talk about everyday self-defense using your self-defense walking cane or a walking stick, any kind of stick. We'll use the shorter stick and we use a little bit longer stick. But I want to show you some simple things that you can do right away to keep yourself safe every day, no matter where you go. The first thing you're going to do when you're holding your cane or your stick in your hand is you bring the other hand up when the threat's coming in. One foot goes forward and the other foot's back. You bend the knees and you bring your cane up or your stick between you and the threat. From this position, you're going to fight from behind your sticks. This hand is up and open. You're saying stop. You're giving a verbal command. You can simply thrust straight into his face, trying to remove his nose, his breathing, his ability to breathe, or his ability to see you, or breathe temporarily, permanently through the throat. If you have to for self-defense, it's a simple thrust, and then you're going to pull it to your shoulder, and you're going to strike. So from this position, one foot's forward, the other one's back. You see the threat coming in. He's getting closer. You're putting your hands up, back up, stay away from me. I'll defend myself. You're giving those commands. Bend the knees to load the weight up on the legs a little bit. Bring it up in this position between you and him. You can make that first motion from the floor all the way up into a strike, from your shoulder striking through, from the other shoulder striking back. So you have 3 strikes starting here. Bend the knees, bring it up, thrust, strike 1, strike 2. You can bring this strike up, turning your wrist palm up, bringing it up. Think about coming through the side of his body. Maybe he's reaching for you. You're going to smash that hand. You might have a blade or some kind of a weapon. You're going to strike. You can bring it from the other shoulder or the other hip, striking the other way, coming through the center line of his body, coming through with a horizontal strike, back with a horizontal strike, and finishing this combination of strikes with that vertical strike coming down the middle. So I want you to be able to practice everyday self-defense techniques using a walking cane or a walking stick to keep yourself safe. You're going to practice this simple combination. Bring it up, thrust, shoulder, shoulder, hip, the other hip, a horizontal strike, and then down over the top. The question you want to ask yourself when you're defending yourself is, what can you remove or destroy for self-defense? Think in terms of his ability to see or be awake. You're going to strike the head with that last strike, knocking him out. Or maybe coming through the temple, make him unconscious so he can stop hurting you. Or striking into the jaw, into the neck, into the shoulder, into that upper arm, with that elbow. Or again, he's coming at you with a punch or a knife. He's trying to grab. You're going to strike. Put it in the other hand. I want you to practice this in combination. The cane is in your back hand. Your front foot's here. This hand is up and open. This is also a guarding motion. He might close the distance on you, and the fastest thing you can do is stick your hand on your head, absorbing any contact he might make, trying to punch you or strike you or hit you, stab you. You're going to bring this hand into the side of your head to support the head and also to cover up. You can step in, driving this elbow into his face as you bring your cane up, striking, coming from the shoulder, the other shoulder, off the first hip, the second hip, come through, come back, and then down on top. So then you practice it evenly on both sides. Bend the knees, the hands up, thrust, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, switch your feet, hand up, bend the knees, bring it up, thrusting, shoulder, shoulder, hip, hip, horizontal, horizontal, and vertical. A simple series, a combination of strikes that you can practice over and over so that when you have to, you won't think about it. You'll be able to defend yourself everyday self-defense techniques using your walking cane or a walking stick. Maybe it's something like this Irish shillelagh, or this just a simple walking stick with a nice knob on the top, or any kind of design. Or you can get a dowel rod from Home Depot or Lowe's or do-it-yourself store, and then you sand it down, you oil it up. Maybe they're about 36 inches, the same length as this. The hand is up and open. You bend the knees, come up into this position. There's your first strike. Angle 1, angle 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, coming down, and then switching the other side. And you want to practice that again and again, maybe 2 to 3 minutes a day. You have a really good series of strikes with your self-defense walking stick or your self-defense walking cane. Now, going back to the cane, I'm going to have you turn it around so the crook is facing the threat. Thank you for that, Alita. Richard is here from Poland. Richard, good to see you again. Christian, good to see you. Christian made a 55-inch maple wood walking stick. It's about this size. This one's hickory, but maple is excellent. Good and both strong and flexible. You can also do all the same techniques we just did. You change your grip here, from here, and then you have a lot longer stick. I'm not going to be able to go through it here in the garage because I'll put a hole in the ceiling. But Richard, you can do that. Or Christian said he's the one that made that. Yeah. Old two-ply, good to see you. Chalkboard, great to be here. Matthew, good to see you this morning. Thanks for coming. All right, so now I'm going to have you go back to your walking cane for self-defense. You're going to practice another combination, a set of strikes. From this position, the first one is going to be this lifting motion. Think about striking up between his legs or under his chin. Or again, he's trying to come in with that punch. He's trying to stab. You're going to smash that right out of his hand. Bring this up here, and then you're going to turn your wrist over, striking down on the top of his head. So from here, 1, 2, 1, 2. Just a 2 simple strike combination. You can start to practice going faster and faster. It's a very effective, surprising strike. And, you know, this first one might knock him back a little bit. The second one coming over the top of his head, smashing the forehead or smashing into his clavicle. You're going to break some bone with this technique. It's very powerful. 1, 2, you can knock him out in the fight right from there using this everyday self-defense technique with your self-defense walking stick or your walking cane, bringing it down on top. So 1, 2, starting to speed that up as you go through, going faster and faster in practice so that when you need it, you're able to do it. Ian, good to see you. Ian says, happy to catch you live from the UK. Ian, great to see you. Hope all is well over there. I don't know if you're getting down here anytime soon. 1, it's been beautiful in southern Florida. 1, 2, 3. So you're going to add 2, 3. The simple strike coming up or come across, come back, and then come down. So this first one, it's kind of horizontal, becomes horizontal, but it starts at this diagonal, coming across, back, and down, and you can hear. Maybe you can't hear it because the lavalier mic, but it splits the wind very nicely. 1, 2, 3. I don't have as much room on this side, but it's the same technique. 1, 2, 3. Think about bringing it across, back, and down. And your hand isn't really coming that far away from your body. Your arm isn't. It's your hand that's doing most of the work here. Side, side, and back. Now with your walking stick, we can do pretty much the same techniques. Your hand is going to start here, sliding down the front. You bring it up and then turn your wrist and then down on top. Just think about chopping this way. Yeah, FIFO Sanders says cutting through the air. So coming up 1 and 2. 1, 2. Now with this Irish shillelagh, this briarwood cane walking stick, this thing is nearly indestructible. You will do a lot of damage for self-defense when you strike his forehead, or maybe it's that hand that's attacking you, and you're going to be able to defend yourself anywhere you go. That's why I call it everyday self-defense, because you can carry these sticks with you almost everywhere you go. You can certainly carry the walking cane everywhere you go, and it's very effective. Using that same technique as before, coming across the body and back, and then coming in with that devastating strike right down the middle, cracking him on the top of his head. From here, 1, 2, for self-defense. Again, the question that you ask yourself when you go through these self-defense principles is, what can I remove or destroy? And that comes from Tim Larkin's book, When Violence is the Answer. Put links to all of the equipment we train with and then to those books in the description below if you want to see that for yourself. Go get yourself a copy. Very useful in self-defense. Remember keeping that other hand up. Now, from this position, we're going to stick with the shillelagh on this next one, and then we'll go back and show you on the walking cane. They're pretty much the same things, just small, slight differences. Dorina Waltz says, thank you for your instruction teaching. She cares for her grandson. Often worry about how to protect us in the event we need it while we're out. Amen. And I don't know if you saw Tim Miller at Lionheart Skills. Just look him up, Tim Miller Lionheart on YouTube. He does a lot of breakdowns of self-defense situations. There was a grandmother and her granddaughter. They were singing to the Taylor Swift movie in the living room, and a guy running from the cops in the neighborhood, it was a nice neighborhood, breaks into her house, comes right in the front door, and wants to hide from the cops, wants the keys to her car. She gives him keys to a car, and he goes out. Cops are outside. He decides to come back in, and she effectively defends herself and her granddaughter with a self-defense tool that she had in her house that she was able to retrieve after he went out, knowing that he was probably going to come back in, and saved herself and her 4-year-old granddaughter. So grandmothers can defend their grandchildren, and must. We must all defend our grandchildren and our children, right? Yeah, Faithful says, please remember to hit the like button. I appreciate when you guys do that. It helps me a lot. All right, so holding your cane in the front. We've been going down the front to get it into this position. Now I'm going to have you slide down the back. So when you defend yourself with a walking stick, you either go to the front or the back. Garba says, what about carrying a gun? I carry everywhere I go. I have 1 or 2 options depending on where I am and what the situation is. One that has a lot more capacity and one that has enough capacity to get me a fighting chance and to protect my family. And so I'm a big believer. And I'm well trained. I have had many courses, both in the military and as a civilian on, and as a security professional on how to use my concealed carry weapon and how to deploy it. I also carry this with me everywhere I go, and I use it almost daily to open things. So this is a very useful utility tool, but I also have it to defend myself. So, and my family. It's all about self-defense, myself and my family. And in addition to that, learning how to fight with sticks gives you just another everyday self-defense tool that you can use, because you can find sticks almost anywhere. And you can carry, like I said, you can carry one of these almost everywhere you go. It's a perfect gray man option. It just looks like it is a walking stick. Most people won't question it. You'll know how to use it in self-defense. And then when you get in this posture, you can just smash that in his face, bring it here, bring it up under his chin, smash him here, bring it back this way. You can do all those things very effectively. Same thing with this one. So the answer is yes. If that's available to you, a lot of places around the world, you can't carry those. You can't carry, I know Ian can't carry one in Great Britain. And I don't know about Poland, what the laws are in Poland, but yeah, Dorina says keep the doors locked at home. Keep the doors locked and consider, I have, well, I'll just show you, I just got a new one. These are so inexpensive. You can see that. You pick these up at Lowe's, Home Depot. I think I got this one at Ace Hardware. It's made by Master Lock. I'll put a link in the thing because I know you can get one from the internet. You can get one on Amazon. But when you open it, when you take it out of here, this one's brand new. I just got it. I just picked it up. But you pop it out. You make it a pole. One goes on the floor so it doesn't slide. And then this will go up under a door. And then when that thug is trying to kick your door in, he's not going to come in your house. And you can put this on bedroom doors. You can put it on the front doors, back doors. You can also use it. It shows you in a sliding door. You can use it in a sliding door. We have the little door locks on all our sliding doors. You can't get in on the bottom, but we also have poles. You know, I have poles that you just put in there to keep someone from, because they can actually lift your sliding door up and out. And there's a way to stop that too. You put little screws in your channel that are high enough that your door moves, but not, maybe we'll do a video on that. We'll show you how to secure your house against an invasion. All right, so back to smashing people in the face with your everyday self-defense technique using your self-defense cane or a stick. For self-defense, we're not just walking around smashing people in the face. It's when they won't leave us alone and they're trying to hurt us, hurt our family, take away your life, your dignity, steal something from you that doesn't belong to them. It's yours. God gave you the right to defend yourself. So your hands on the top of your stick, you bend the knees, sliding your hand again down the back. You come up into this position. Your hands are up and open. You're giving a command. You're telling him back up. You're too close. He doesn't. You stick this just like you're doing a punch, a jab right into his face. Come in. What can you remove or destroy? His ability to breathe temporarily or permanently. His ability to see. His ability to be awake. You smash him. here, and then I'm going to have you pull it back and come in with a hooking punch. Think about punching his jaw or his temple or into his neck, hitting that process of nerves. When you hit it just the right way, the blood flushes from his brain. He falls like a sack of poo to the ground. Eleanor says, Mr. Pasquale, thank you for sharing this valuable knowledge. I have a lot to learn and grasp with physical ailments. A lot of us do. I can appreciate that. But I will. Amen. Great attitude. Thank you for that. Gotcha Prophet says, thank you. And Bodie Carnes just started to get into Kali because I always carry around a knife and people at the bar get mad over gambling. Pool games and sticks are similar to cues. Yeah, Kali sticks. We did a Kali video earlier this week, or maybe last week. Kali, Salada, Scream, it's all Arnis. They're all in the same family of Filipino martial arts, Indonesian style. Good stuff to learn. Bend the knees, coming up, striking forward, come in with the hook punch, answer your phone, and thrust, coming straight in. So this 3-strike combination, or starting with 3 strikes, that I want you to practice on both sides. Bend the knees, pick it up, hook. And as you answer your phone, this is also a fast, effective strike. You are coming up under his chin or knocking his hand out of the way. Answering your phone, step in and thrust. Slide your hand down here and come down the back side like you're chopping down a tree, bringing that into the side of his face or his neck or his arm, whatever you need to remove for self-defense or destroy. Ammo Camo says, how would you go about fighting 2 people with a stick, like someone coming up with behind you as well? It's a great question. From this position, thrusting here, you can also thrust back here. A lot of these 2-directional strikes start with the Japanese Joe. From here, there's the thrust, pointing your thumb at the threat. There's a technique where you practice coming forward and then back, just striking here. You can strike here, you can strike here, you can strike up here into his face. You can hit him here, and then you can turn and strike. Turning and striking is very powerful and effective. And when you practice it, you're going to be able to do it really well. So I recommend doing that. So if we were to stay with this combination, we're going to bend here, we're going to pick it up, thrust here, come in here, smash him under the chin as you answer your phone. There's that bayonet attack with this, and slide forward if you want to. You can then practice adding this little thrusting motion here to catch this guy in the groin or in his thigh as you come back. And then when you turn and see him, you can, from here, pull it back and bring it forward. So you're facing away, you see him, you hit him here, step and thrust here. Changing your grip on your stick is very important to practice. You can practice this because you can hit here, change your grip, and hit here, change your grip, strike here, change your grip, striking from one side to the other, and all you're doing without ever taking your hands off of your self-defense stick, you're sliding them by each other. You don't take them off so you don't lose it, is the whole idea. So practice that on the other side, the other foot's forward, your hands up, back up, I'll defend myself. Remember, you can also come forward with this driving elbow strike, driving straight through his nose. You can also come in with this horizontal elbow strike, a vertical elbow strike, a diagonal elbow strike down, an elbow strike up as you're getting prepared to then fight with your stick. So don't forget you have these elbows, and when you think in elbow, think about not just the elbow, but the forearm, because you can thrust the hard part of this bone. As long as your palm's facing down, expose that bone, and you stick that into his throat or into his teeth or into his nose or into his face, and you're going to move his body back, is the point. So from here, bend the knee, come up here, hook, smash, answer the phone, get it in 2 hands, thrust here, bring it down, punch here, and then if you want to, change grips, do the same combination behind you, and then just practice. Ammo Camos, if I practice multiple direction, striking, strike to this side, to the front, to the back, and you just, and your feet, don't ever cross your feet, don't move too much, kind of stay in one place. Yeah, Nightmare says elbows are deadly, only problem is you have to get up close. Aim, that's true. I would prefer my distance. I prefer to keep the distance here, especially if he's got a weapon, like a blade or some kind of bladed weapon. But let's say he's already on top of you and he's in your face. You can just bring this up fast. You put your hands up and you back up and he gets too close and his face is in your face and he's coming in, he's threatening, he's trying to touch you with his mouth or whatever. Because that happens, maybe you smash him with your elbow. So yeah, it's a double-edged sword, as they say. The problem with the elbow is you got to be really close. The other problem that he has is that when he gets close to you, your elbows are super, super close. All right, so you can do the same thing we just did. Now you have your walking cane. Your hand is here. It's in this position where you smashed him here. But now you bend the knees. There's that straight thrust, that hook punch, smash, thrust, chop. And now the addition of this beveled edge on your self-defense walking cane means that you can rip whatever you catch off of his face. Literally, you can take the eyes out of his face, the nose off of his face, his teeth out of his mouth, dig it into his ear, dig it into his neck, and then pull. And that adds more devastation for self-defense. As a self-defense tool, everyday self-defense using your self-defense walking cane, so many techniques, so many powerful things that you can do that you can't do with just a simple walking stick, but you can do almost all the same. Put it in the other hand, bend the knees. There's that thrust. There's that hook. Smash them up under the teeth. Answer the phone. Thrust, chop, pull. Reach in, whatever you grab, rip it off. And thrust it there. Now let's talk about like if you're tight and close, or maybe you're sitting in a chair and you're holding your cane this way, or you're sitting on the bus or the train. I want you to think of getting the cane from here to here. And this is what I want you to practice, getting this protective motion. And from here, you then just bring your hand down to here and then you smash. If you're in a tight space and you can't do all these swinging motions, and you can't bring this through here and you can't bring it here and down on top of the head, which I love to do because it's so powerful, you can still fight smashing with one hand, smashing with two hands, striking with that tip and just raking. Think about putting that against the skin, the sensitive skin on his face, or even his chest or his ribs. Put that into his ribs and pull. And after you pull, go back. Pull, go back. 1, 2. Then from this position, up. Think of that uppercut, smashing up under his chin, knocking his teeth down his throat. Maybe bites, the tip of his tongue goes flopping off and into the ground for self-defense. But you can do it from a seated position is my point. You can also do it from standing. Maybe you're in a hallway or you're walking down in a crowded space. There are a lot of people around you, and all of a sudden the threat is upon you, and you have to respond quickly. And all you have is a walking cane or a walking stick for self-defense. In this everyday situation, everyday self-defense says you can bring it here quickly. All you're doing is bring your hands up to here, and then from this position, yeah, close quarters, Matthew says, close quarters, excellent technique. Just smashing with one hand or with the two hands and then punching and lifting, punch, lift, punch, and think about what you're going to hit and then pushing and striking and keep everything in this close quarters. And that's where that hand transfer comes in again, where you're sliding one hand past the other one, striking here. And that hand technique comes from the Joe practice. The Japanese, I don't even know if we can do it in this garage. It's so long. It's 54 inches. We practice these techniques because we literally will fight this way, striking here, coming through, changing hand positions, coming up and coming forward, and your hands constantly sliding by, one past the next. And you can practice that very short first, and then slowly allowing your hands to slide further and further out. And again, I have a lot of stuff overhead. The garage is not the best place to train. Outside is better. Although it's not bad. It's also extremely hot in here. There's a storm outside. You get chased inside a lot. But you can do the same thing with your walking cane. Just sliding from one hand to the next. And that's such an effective technique because you can hit him here, change, hit him here, change, 1, 2. All you're doing is trading one front hand for the back hand. Now your left is in front, now your right is in front. And being able to do that will give you more techniques and it'll open your mind up to more things that you can do. I also want you to get fit and get strong. Since I've had my hip replaced, and this one now needs replaced, I've been limited in what I can do with my legs. But when I use my cane, I take the weight off the body, or I take the weight off the legs, and I put it onto the arms by leaning forward, and I'm still getting good squats. And then I put it in one hand, and then I can still do lunges to the front and to the back. Not as deep as when I was younger. And you might not be going as deep as you did when you were younger, but it's a great way to get your body back in shape and get fighting fit and fighting strong. And then using this resistance band and the cane in front of your chest, and then slide that to the back. And I think I said before, you can either have your hand over the band. I prefer to have it inside the band. And this has nice resistance. This is a newer resistance band. I put the links in the section below the description so that you can see. They're very inexpensive. And with a resistance band like this and your stick or your walking cane, you now have a home gym. Even with just the resistance band, you have a home gym. Where I guarantee you, if you and I worked out together with all of the exercises I've accumulated so far with these resistance bands, I could give you a full workout, top to bottom, as good as anyone that you could have using machines or free weights. And if you're super strong, I'd give you a little bit more of a band, and I guarantee we'd spend only about 20 minutes doing it. We're not going to sit on the gym. You go to the gym and you see these kids and adults on the machines for 20, 30 minutes because they're staring at their phone. That drives me insane. I don't know about you. If you, in the comment section, put that below. If you do go to the gym and you see the people with their phones out staring at it in between sets and just sitting on equipment, and you're yelling at yourself inside your head, what am I doing here? Put that in the comment section and then consider getting yourself a set or just one. Start with one resistance band. Start with a small one. That means narrow. This is like, there's one that's more narrow than this. This is like the second resistance, but it's enough. And as you go away from your body, the resistance increases, which is going to allow you to have more explosive punches and techniques. You do the standing push-up for 30 seconds, and then you rest. And when you rest, it just stands there, it sits there. You walk around, drink your water. If you need to stare at your phone, stare at your phone. Just make sure that there's nobody else in the gym. I don't know, has anybody seen that video? It was down here, South Florida. It was a young woman. She was working out in one of those 24-hour gyms where you have to have a key code or a passcode to get in. And some thug comes up to the door. He's standing outside. I think we found out now he's one of these criminal immigrants who came across illegally or whatever, who's used to hurting people in another country, and he's here now. And she just didn't think about it. She's trying to be nice, doing the right thing. She opens the door for him. He comes in. She goes back to her workout, and then he attacks her. And here's the most important part. She fights back. And she didn't have any specialized training. She just fought back. She just went all out on this guy, kicking him, punching him, screaming, yelling. And that coward piece of crap ran away, as he should, right? The point is, always fight back. Even if you don't know exactly what to do, think about what can you remove or destroy, right? Tim Larkin's book, When Violence is the Answer. It's in the description below. After you do the standing push-ups, pushing straight, that's going to activate your chest muscles and your triceps and your shoulders. But then you're going to push down at this angle, like you're pushing yourself up and out of a chair. And all of these are not to get your muscles looking good for the beach. It's to give you power to knock somebody out, knock their teeth down their throat for self-defense. Yeah, another healing journey begins. Says, yes, I remember she went beast mode on him and she saved herself. Amen. She fought back and it works. Varmouth View, respect you guys. Respect comes from the heart. Thank you. Taha Farm says, thank you. It's great to see you guys. Pushing down, activating the lower part of your chest. I think if you've been watching the news, it seems like for whatever reason, they're starting to finally report on all of the increase in crime. Some statistics will say, like the FBI will come out and say, violent crime is down across the country. Well, that's because they're not reporting it the same way. They're not measuring it. They're not responding. People stopped calling the cops because they kept trying to defund police in all these major cities. Same thing in some of these big cities. Yeah, Eleanor Hunt says, fighting back will be my motto. Make that your motto. Say, oh, that's your mantra. This is what I say, Eleanor. In your head, you have the switch that's sitting there, right? It's like a light switch. And when the threat comes and you're full of adrenaline and fear, then most people will either fight, flight, or flee, or freeze. And we've found that the people who fight are very small. People who have the wherewithal to run, that's a little bit bigger number. But the people who freeze, that's the biggest number. Most people freeze because they're so overwhelmed. It's such an unexperienced thing. They're not used to it. Unless they are used to it, that's when they run. And then they say, so what I want you to do, what I want you to train yourself to do is put yourself in that mindset. Picture an aggressive threat coming in and flipping the switch. His hand is coming to touch, put his hand on your body, or he's coming in to touch you, or he's on top of you. You flip that switch in your mind mentally, take a deep breath, and you say to yourself, how dare you? Because you need to get out of, I can't, because, it's like, how can you, right? Or why? And then you have to get out of that mode. So you go from why, or how can this be happening to me? You flip that switch, the other mode, and it's like, how dare you? You become indignant. So I want you to become indignant, and then you ask yourself the question, what can I remove or destroy? His ability to see, breathe, his temporarily, permanently, his ability to be awake. I'm going to knock him out. I'm going to elbow strike to the head. I'm going to come up under his jaw. I'm going to come into his neck. I'm going to come into his body with a punch, break his ribs. I'm going to hit him with my everyday self-defense walking cane. And you flip that switch. All right, so we went down now, but I want you to install that. If you don't have one of those installed in your head yet, install it. All right, so we're going to push it up. We're coming up this way to activate the top part of the chest. See, the muscle here has an upper part and a lower part, and an inside and an outside and all that. And so each one of these exercises, pushing straight is going to do the whole muscle. Pushing down is going to do the lower part of the muscle. Pushing up at that angle is going to hit this upper part where your décolleté is of that muscle. And then when he's in your face and you need to get him out of your face and your hands are coming up, maybe he's bigger or taller than you are, or you're sitting and he's standing, you're going to have more power to knock him back. After you do that, now you've done 3 sets of chest exercises, 30 seconds each. Then take your hands in here, inside, close together so that your thumbs are almost touching. Make sure you don't let it go and smack yourself in the face, because you can do that, but it's not, I've never done it. It's not very likely. Make sure it's still on your back. You're going to press from your forehead just straight out. And you're going to keep moving. Again, you're going for 30 seconds, and this burns. I did a lot of push-ups this morning. My shoulders are on fire. My triceps are on fire. But that muscle that you're building there, when you pick up that stick and you go through and you strike, it's coming from that extension of the arm, from that tricep. You're going to have so much more power. But you also need to have a strong bicep and a strong back for the uppercuts. And that's when you throw it up under your hip. Yeah, W9UFO says the attacker's not worried about injuring you, so you have to have that same mindset. And another way to put it is the way Tim Larkin does in his book is When Violence is the Answer. He says you've got to he's using violence against you to take your life, your dignity, your freedom. You've got to use violence against his violence against him. It's not a boxing match. It's not kickboxing. It's not Muay Thai. It's not ground fighting. It's not jiu-jitsu. You're not in a match. It's life or death. It's him or you. And his throat is going to collapse under the same amount of pressure as yours will. So you're going to take your elbow, you're going to stick it into his throat. His nose is going to break and his eyes water and the snot and the mucus and the blood comes out and he's choking on it. And it's going to happen the same amount of force against you that you're going to use against him. So you're going to smash him there. You're going to palm strike into his nose. You're going to dig your fingers into his eyes. You're going to rip him down and pop him out of his head, because his eyes are going to pop out of his head under the same amount of pressure that he does with you. So I'm going to pop someone out real quick of the chat. And if you guys will give me a second. There we go. I was telling someone recently, I said, I don't get a lot of trolls in the chat section, but when I do, I like to get rid of them. So I appreciate your patience with that one. All right, so you roll your hips back and you curl. And again, you're going to go, and just the more you sit back, the more resistance you're going to get. And you want to squeeze at the top. So when you get to the top, you squeeze that bicep. You want to try to get mind-muscle connection. You want to feel it and hold it for a second. You want to get blood in there, plasma in there, make the muscle get stronger. You do that for 30 seconds and then rest, catch your breath. And then you're going to change your grip. Bring your hands on the inside so that you're here. Ghani Galgut says, respectfully, I'm thinking this is not for females against male predators. And the answer is, I'm just showing you some exercises you can do to get stronger using a band and your self-defense, everyday self-defense walking cane. This is a Cane Masters cane. I put the links below if you need one. But Ghani, the answer is yes. I think, not a Philippa, that was very kind, maybe, but it's not appropriate for this channel. Anyway, so if you're a female and he's a male, if he's much bigger than you for any reason, right? And he's stronger and he's full of rage and adrenaline and he's trying to harm you, you can take your thumb and you stick it into his throat and push with all the strength in your body. And I don't care how strong you are, you have enough strength to crush his windpipe and kill him and use violence against him who's using violence against you, even if you're a woman and he's a man. So yes, you have, as a woman, you can take your hand, your fingers, and you can stick them into his eye sockets and continue to press until you create so much pressure in his eyes that he has to back up. As a woman, you can take your fist and ball it up and smash as hard as you can over and over into his nose, breaking his nose and making his eyes water and the mucus run and the blood come out. You have, as a woman, you have enough strength to take, all I was going to show you is just change your grip on those pull-ups. But you can take your hands and pop as hard as you can on the sides of his head with your palms. And it doesn't take, all women have this power. I don't care how big, a little girl will have this strength. She can create enough power to hit both hands at the same time into his ears and drive the force of the air, popping his eardrums. And then he loses that inner ear and that ability to have balance. He's going to get vertigo and fall to the ground. And then you can kick him in the throat and run, or just run. If he falls to the ground, run. We don't want to stay and fight. We want to run. Let me make that correction. I was getting indignant for you, feeling as a woman that you have no options, no things that you can do. And if I said, okay, as a woman, you and I are going to put on boxing gloves, or we're going to bare knuckle fight, and you're I don't care who you are, you're one of the top leading boxers in the world, female boxers. And I've had a lot of boxing in my life, and I'm still young enough that I still can create a lot of force, and I can still move fast enough I can defend myself in most situations. We're going to fist fight. We're going to see who's going to win. That's a stupid argument. That's not what self-defense is. That's fighting. That's martial arts. There's some rules there. If instead I say that you're walking home either with or without your husband, and hopefully your husband would be able to handle it, but even if he can't, you're still going to fight for your life, and you get surprised by some thug coming out of the woodwork, or you went for a run like this poor woman did. I think she was in Texas, the mother of 5, who was attacked, brutally assaulted, and then her life was taken from her by this man who's not supposed to be in our country. And it doesn't have to be an illegal criminal alien who came across the border. It could be one of our homegrown thugs, criminals, mentally ill. So it's not about where they came from. But this guy comes out and attacks you. What I'm saying is you can fight back if you use the violence principles, the principles of violence against violence. But you have to ask yourself that question: what can I remove or destroy? Don't think in terms of what boxing technique or what jujitsu do I have to learn, because you're born with everything you already need. You came out of your mom's womb kicking and screaming, literally, most of us. And so we have the ability to fight. If you shift your mindset from self-defense techniques to principles, When Violence is the Answer by Tim Larkin. And again, the link is in the description. The link to all the self-defense tools is in there. But you read the book and you understand you are going to ask yourself, what can I remove or destroy? His ability to see, breathe temporarily, permanently, his ability to have his inner ear so he doesn't fall to the ground because he has vertigo. Maybe it's a joint. Maybe it's his private parts. Maybe you strike between the belly button here and you hit that hard enough with the heel of your shoe or your fist or your elbow, and you're smashing down and you're fighting like that woman we were talking about earlier. She was she wasn't as strong as the man who attacked her. Most of the times they're not. The women are not as strong. But there are many cases. There was another woman in Miami waiting on, I think it was the bus or the train, minding her own business, and had no situational awareness, earbuds in, or AirPods or whatever, watching her phone, probably talking to somebody or engaged in that way. Doesn't see this guy come up behind her, puts his foot up on the bench behind her, takes the shoelaces out, makes like a garrote, puts them around his fingers, goes up and grabs her by the back of the neck and starts to pull her backward. And she fights like a maniac, like a beast. And there's another man there who kind of, he's like slapping at the guy trying to help the lady. He's not much help at all. But this woman kicks him in the face over and over again until he finally runs away. They don't want to get caught. They don't want to get caught. They want to be able to do their thing and get away and do it again and again and again. So just the act of fighting back gives you a fighting chance to live and to survive. And that's true. It's every single case. And if there's, if you're going to die anyway, you might as well create as much damage as you can going out. I've always said this when I talk to people about getting picked on and bullied, and when it comes to the point where they can't talk their way out of it, and there's no adult that's going to help them, and they're in the middle of, they're getting punched, they're getting kicked, they're in the middle of a fight. It's like you don't want to fight, but you're in a fight. It's like you don't want to get in a car crash. When that car hits you, you're in a car accident. You didn't mean to. It wasn't your fault. It's his fault. But you're still in the accident. So when that threat's coming on you and he's attacking you, fight back, because just the act of fighting back and doing something about it will change everything in that scenario. And most people will survive. What happens because we see the video cameras all the time when people are abducted, kids are abducted, women are abducted, they don't fight back. They're so terrified. That's why I say you've got to install that switch. Indignance. How dare you? How dare you put your hands on me? How dare you get close enough to try to take something from me? I will defend myself. And then what can I remove or destroy? Take a deep breath. And then all in as hard and as fast and as violent as you possibly can until he stops being a threat. Anyway, you guys have been awesome. I got to go back. I'm doing a lot of training this week for some of the security stuff I'm doing. I've got more security training. I've been doing security training all week. I'm in the security mindset. We're gonna offer security at the home, security for your person, security at schools, security at churches, all those things we're going deep into coming this whole summer. Tim Miller and I are preparing that. Some of you guys have seen Tim Miller's channel. If you haven't, go to Tim Miller Lionheart. Type that in, 3 different words, Tim Miller and Lionheart, all one word. And YouTube, follow him, learn about what he's doing. He and I are going to partner on some things and bringing some other people in. And as the world gets a little bit crazier this summer, going into the election, we want to offer some sense of peace. Because if you do something about your own personal safety, about the safety of yourself and your family, then you don't have to be terrified all the time. And I think that's what they want. They want us terrified, but we're going to train. Anyway, you guys have been awesome, and I will see you in a little bit. Thank you very much. Alita, thanks again for that generous gift.